The Russian is sticking to his old Nexus, and in the bottom right side of Death Aura, we're looking at the main base of the Polish Protoss. It is Gerald.
Mate, there's like 10,000 people on this Exxon team. I've come back to doing commentary, and I'm looking up teams and everything like that about what's been going on. And there's Exxon, there's Alpha X. All of these teams have like 1 billion players. What is happening?
Yeah, no, they have been picking up. I mean, Alpha X has been doing some really exciting things, not just picking up young players, but also having some junior championships, and now even running a big tournament later this year with some EPT points on the line as well. So that's really cool, and Exxon has definitely been making some proper waves as well. You know, James, just to talk a little bit about what's been happening with these nerfs recently, is I've been casting quite a few of Skillous' games, because whenever I'm playing or casting one of the European Pro Tour weeklies, I'm always like, all right, if I can get a Skillous game, I want to get a Skillous game. And I have noticed that Skillous has been having an absolutely terrible time against another young Protoss player in the European scene that is called MaxPax. I've seen Skillous play 6 games against MaxPax, and the record in the last 6 is 5-1 in favor of the Danish one. But I also don't think that means that Skillous has no chance here, because Gerald and MaxPax, they basically play a different race. The only thing they have in common is they start with a Nexus and a bunch of probes, but after that, everything is different. So I'm not super worried that that is going to hurt Skillous. But yeah, then again, mirror losses are mirror losses, right?
That is true. Gerald is already getting a little bit spicy with the pylon on that left-hand side of the map at the moment, so a little proxy coming in for him potentially down the line here. But you're right about MaxPax. I mean, he's a whirlwind of difference when it comes to playing this game, and it's really actually so much fun to watch.
Yeah, everybody's been loving it. Everyone in Twitch chat in general tunes in when MaxPax is playing, and no matter what stream you go to, people will be talking about that young, fun Danish Protoss player. So Gerald's opening up with the proxy Stargate. Now, I know we've been seeing some Void Ray memes. I don't know if you really filled in on all the Void Ray memes yet, but this is a little too far away for Void Ray, so I'm obviously expecting this just to be Oracles. Skillous is looking for it, though, and he's getting pretty close.
Yeah, definitely so. Moving along with that second unit down towards the bottom. This one will die. Oh, move away.
No, the Stalker was so close. The probe was so close. Oh my goodness. Skillous has scouted like 85% of the map, and he hasn't seen the proxy Stargate yet. And James, there is no shield battery in the main base. I'm a little bit worried here for the Russian.
Yeah, might be quite a bit of damage coming his way. This probe does scout at the front, sees the Nexus going down here. But the Nexus, technically speaking, maybe just the smidges delayed there against his own. So he must know a tech choice is down as his robo facility's on the way.
Yep, this is one of these moments where it's like, wait a minute, if you have no units, no pylon on the low ground, and your Nexus is a bit later, you must have proxied something. So the Oracle is going to show up in the main base, but that was actually kind of sloppy control by Gerald at first, so he takes a lot of damage, only gets 2 probes. I don't think this is too bad for Skillous.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of damage on towards these Stalkers as well, and that's permanent damage when it goes past the shields. Gerald just chasing this away for now.
The Oracle might actually come back to help out here. Look at the Oracle on the minimap. I have the feeling that Gerald is planning something feisty. Is he going to activate Pulsar Beam? I think he's going to try. And he actually might get a Stalker because of it. This is a cool play, but he has to be so careful. You don't want to lose your Oracle, and he does, and he gets the kill. Oh my goodness, James, is that the play of the day so far?
It's the only play of the day so far.
I know.
We got the Warp Prism coming in as well here to lift things forwards, as well as maybe do a bit more aggressive Warpins here. So just keep his opponent on his toes whilst he's getting his... Actually, he's making no probes. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, this is a decent commitment by Skillous. I know he's been a fan of these early little move out with a lot of sentries, and this can play out in a spectacular way, but this can also become an absolute disaster because we still have 2 Oracles on the map. Skillous did just wipe in 1 defensive Stalker, but we're going to have a Depth Shade into the natural as well. I have the feeling that someone is about to lose a whole bunch of probes, if not both of them.
Yeah, definitely. These 2 Oracles sharking him out at the front, just looking for an opportunity, and actually... Also, the Adept's going to be shading him whilst he's going to start breaching the front. Does he have any shield batteries down at the front? Ah, there's one at the back here, so he could technically retreat to that, but the Nexus would take some damage.
Yep, so at this point, Gerald is obviously aware of the fact that Skillous is incredibly committed here. Are we going to see some force fields? Yes. I like that second force field a lot, James. A lot of these units are super choked up.
Yeah, definitely so. The probes even can't get in to actually handle any of this either. I mean, There's the overcharge on towards the shield battery as well to try and keep that going, and it's very, very powerful indeed. Probe's going to actually die for their cause here at the front, picking up some of these units, bringing them all back here, warping in more. The Nexus is going to go down.
Yep, the next is going to go down, but Skillous has lost all of his workers at home against the Adepts, against the Oracle, so he needs to get into this main base. Warp Prism needs to pick up these units. I mean, Skillous is ultra all-in, but I don't know if there's an answer for this Immortal. I don't know if Gerald can take it out. Maybe he can just get 1 or 2 more Warpins, maybe some extra batteries, and then pull all the probes. This is it, James.
Skillous went into warp mode with his Warp Prism, but he's got no money to warp in with, so there really wasn't much point here for a second there, as... we're going to see him try and move up this ramp. And as you say, the Immortal is king in this position. Probes get pulled off the line as well. Gerald knows that he just has to hold, but at the same time, he's going to lose so many workers as well. This is going to be down to the wire.
Yep, I mean, easier said than done. He just needs to hold, but how do you kill that Immortal? If you dive on it, the Warp Prism saves it. If you dive on the Prism, the Immortal kills all your Stalkers. It's an unfair fight. Gerald does have Blink right now, but I'm afraid that this Immortal just has too much HP left. And some really great Warp Prism micro coming out of Skillous here.
Yeah, for sure. A few extra units sneak in as well off the back of the 4 probes that he has at home. And no more probes going to be remaining after that one falls in those gas geysers. The unit's trying to run away and find something to do, but it's a little too late now.
He's like, can I force a base trade with 5 Stalkers? Okay, he's actually making a Void Ray. Hey, that's kind of cool. I mean, Skillous should just recall, though. Like, as long as you've got a Nexus and a battery, you should always recall there. Because I think with the battery, you'll never lose. Without the battery, I don't think you lose either. I mean, he's got 2 Nexi. I don't think this is going to go anywhere, but I like the idea from Gerald.
I'm going to recall into the natural base whilst bringing down every single probe. Yeah, it's an attempt, but unfortunately, you know, even with the Void Ray and the Stalkers here, if you try and kill off all of the Stalkers of your opponent, I think you're going to take so much damage in the process. You just have to focus down the Void Ray, right? And then everything else is just fodder.
Yep, and now Gerald is wondering, does he have any probes left? Well, the answer is yes, and there is a little bit of money in the bank as well. Gerald knows he's on the clock, of course, because he's not mining. Skillous is mining. Gerald doesn't even have a main anymore. I mean, you can technically say that Blink Stalkers have infinite potential, right? With the micro potential that there is with Blink. The thing is, though, I don't think you have enough to really one-shot workers. And on top of that, there is a shield battery that's going to neglect a lot of the hard work you're going to try to do as well. So,
yeah,
I think this one is kind of over.
It's a matter of time. It is a matter of time. Even with the separation of Skillous' units, even just the 2 Stalkers on the left-hand side to prevent the Void Ray from poking on in, and this army on the right-hand side could easily deal with it. The other army itself. So, yeah, it's not looking great.
I mean, I think what Gerald is hoping for is a terrible misplay by Skillous.
Yeah.
Maybe he should pretend that he goes for the Immortal, let the Warp Prism pick it up, and then snipe the Prism immediately with Prismatic Alignment and a Blink. But, I mean, it's a long shot.
Yeah, very much so. And Skillous shouldn't be allowing these things to happen. Still extra force fields available if needs be. Of course, then you'll force the blink from your opponent, usually defensively. You can't use it aggressively in this position because you're just going to die, but you kind of have to almost to try and force anything. It's awful.
All right, uses Prismatic Alignment on the Warp Prism there, but is forced to cancel it after Skillous saves the Prism. Stalkers go up the main ramp, but this one is all over. Too much time has gone by. GG gets called. Skillous will take the 1-0 lead. I gotta say, though, with a build that was very all-in.
I was having a hard time concentrating in those last moments because there's fresh cheesecake, homemade cheesecake in the oven right now, and I can smell it, and it's amazing. Oh, Roddy.
I mean, those are the things you're supposed to smell when you're casting a PvP, though. Like, you are onto something.
That's fair. That is fair, yeah. But yeah, Skillous just kind of, running away with that one for the most part there. Gerald got a little bit unlucky, I feel, with some of the timings of some move outs, etc. But beyond that, strong.
I honestly feel that if Gerald just runs up the high ground immediately, or let's say he recalls those units that were stuck on the low ground because of those force fields into the main, and then he just relies on warping in batteries and extra units in the main base, I think it becomes a lot harder for Skillous to really get the victory there. Because Skillous was ultra all-in. Like, he warped in 1 defensive Stalker. It's like, good luck, buddy. Take care of 2 Adepts and an Oracle for me. It's like, we all know that that's never going to happen. Or 2 Oracles even. So Skillous had to win with that push, and he did manage to win, but at that point, maybe if Gerald would have realized just a little bit sooner how incredibly all-in Skillous was, maybe he could have just tried to defend on one proper base and one base economy, and that could have been good enough.
Well, it's Gerald's pick now as we're going to Pillars of Gold for our second game here, loading on up. So maybe he can bring it back series-wise with this, but remains to be seen. I mean, proxies are common, but they're also ambitious sometimes as well, right? Like, did the Oracle really do much? Did the Void Ray really do much? Anyway, let's get into things.
The Void Ray was a Hail Mary desperation play. He's like, well, is there still a chance for me? 5 Blink Stalkers in a Void Ray and a Dream, that's all I got. We'll talk more about those proxies soon, James. In the bottom left side of Pillars of Gold, we're looking at the main base of the man who is suffering from the Kalaris curse at the moment. It is Gerald.
I'm doing it to spite people at this point. We have up to the top right-hand corner in the blue, one game up. It is Skillous.
Yeah, I kept track of everything yesterday, James. I had a blast listening to you, but those predictions, they were not too hot.
Yeah, you know, I will pride myself on used to being pretty good at predictions, but now apparently in StarCraft 2, I am bollocks. So I'll be fine with that.
To be fair, I also was the worst on the last broadcast I was on. But you know what? I was just picking with my heart. You know, that's what it always is. You're either a genius or you're picking with your heart. I mean, that's the only way that predictions really work, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And, well, you know, the series isn't over just yet, buddy. So,
I mean, after a game like that, I feel like we pretty much can wrap it up. Skillous is 3-1. No, if you guys just joined us, this is our very first best of 3 of the day. We've got a very long day ahead of us. All of these games, of course, are important. Sure, they're part of a big round robin. But there's $125 on the line as well for every single best of 3 that's being played in the European group stage. So that's awesome. But finishing top 4 is obviously the most important thing here, because that's going to send these guys into the playoffs. Top 2 is the dream, but top 4 is good enough for at least the lower bracket of the playoffs. And both these guys are 2-1 in their group, so this is a really important best of 3.
Absolutely, especially considering that, you know, there was other PvPs to have to be played in this group as well. So kind of like gauging your power level, and already we've seen some of those PvPs go down as well for some people. It can be a important matchup, I feel, in this group.
Oh, absolutely. So when you have got Cougar in this group, and then of course Harstem as well, Mana is in it. I mean, this group I was most excited for just because I felt it was going to be incredibly close in the center. I figured that Clem was always going to take one of the top 2 spots, and he's definitely on track to do so. And I was like, well, the rest feels pretty wide open. And that's definitely what's kind of the case so far. Harstem is 1 and 2, but he already had 2 of the top dogs. So I think that Harstem still has plenty of opportunities to make top 4 in this group as well.
Yeah, we had a similar situation in some of the other groups as well, where, you know, some of the names that you would expect to be doing very well in this group overall had already ran up against, you know, your Serals, your Rainas before. So you've got to wait for these things to play out in these, you know, eight-man groups. It can be very treacherous.
So we've got another Stargate going down in the main base for Gerald. This time he ain't proxying it, but maybe he just felt, he's like, the way that you play Skillous is a little too YOLO for me. Memes aside, even though Skillous did pick up game 1, I'm not a massive fan of those kind of builds, because yeah, he expanded, but what he's basically doing there is a one base all in. It's just that if you do an actual one base all in, it's way too obvious and it's way too easy to defend. So they make it seem like they're playing a macro game. They are expanding, and then they're still hitting you with the, what was that, 22, 23 probe attack. I mean, at that point you're all in.
Yeah, for sure. And when eventually people end up getting, you know, the opportunity to actually transition here with Twilight Council, for example, like I've been enjoying the Blink Stalker Disruptor Wars that end up coming along from these kinds of scenarios. It really does kind of tax people's control a lot. So I'm hoping for some of that maybe down the line if we get there. I
mean, Gerald is a Blink Stalker Disruptor kind of boy. He's been having some epic games with, I'm going to mention him again, Harstem over the last few months, where at first I feel like Gerald got the better of it a couple times, but lately Harstem's late game PvP has been hella sexy. But, you know, Gerald, when I think of Gerald, I think of a 4-base kind of guy who loves Blink Stalkers and Disruptors. I don't know if Skillous is that big of a fan. I feel Skillous is a little more about just like macro up, get as many units out as possible. And he's doing a good job, by the way, deflecting this Oracle. But I think, James, there is a chance that you'll get your wish in this game.
Yeah, maybe. There's other options, right? I mean, we've seen people getting some Archons in there quite quickly, and people getting Colossi in there quite quickly, even just a sprinkling or so. But Disruptors are absolutely the way to be going, from my estimations. +1 on the way as well. You don't want to fall behind too much on that as well. We even saw a game yesterday where, you know, it was just Blinkstalker versus Blinkstalker. One player has +1, the other one doesn't. It's not going to go that well for the person without it, so you got to keep up.
Yeah. Unless you maybe have like 10 more stalkers, but that's going to be tough in the PvP. You know, you mentioned Archons, and Archons I find really fun in this matchup because for a while we were all like, Archons are sick. All you need is Archons, right? Archon Zealot all the way. And then people are like, well, Archon Zealot is good, but if you force fights in certain ways and in certain phases in the game, it's actually nice to have a couple of Immortals as the back line. And then it's like, if you can just get a Colossus in, then the Archons suck. And then people are like, well, if everybody wants to go Blinkstalker Disruptor, then we don't really need any Archons at all, because Archons are amazing in the Zealot fights, but they're terrible in Stalker fights.
Yeah, they really don't do too much. I mean, by virtue of the fact that Stalkers are big, bulky units relative to Zealots, they just don't do as much splash damage. Never mind being able to get on top of them. Never mind being able to be kited infinitely when it comes to those kinds of fights as well.
Oh.
Nice little move.
Yeah. I felt that if he would have done this on the the double stasis. I'm not sure if Skillous paying attention to that one. That could be a big one. It's not a massive one. Now the Oracle, will it live? It will actually live. At first I was like, if he would have done this at the same time as he shaded those 2 Adepts into the natural, then I think he gets a massive stasis. But in the end, I would say it's still all right. Oh, okay, that's a big one. Oh my goodness, gets the Stalker as well, so he gets out of there.
Damn, that was cheeky. I was enjoying that. I want more of that.
Stasis is funny, man. Like we've actually had some game deciding stasis traps over the last few months. It's been cool to see.
Very, very nice. All right, sending out Hallucinate Phoenixes to keep an eye on what's going on the other side, and I just suppose scouting out every corner of the map, making sure that there isn't any little aggressive moves coming out from his opponent, which I don't mind, as the Oracle's moving up to the left-hand side, maybe getting onto this mineral line, but Stalkers are here ready to go.
Yep. A quick blink by Skillous should be good enough to take care of that Oracle, and he is paying attention, so that's good news for the Russian. So even though Skillous lost some mining time, lost a couple probes, he was actually economically ahead for the majority of this game. And upgrades looking fine as well. He's heading into a Templar Archives a little bit quicker. I don't really know why he made absolutely 0 probes for like a minute and a half now, because he could have had a much bigger lead than he currently does, but... I mean, seems like he's gearing up for an attack, and Gerald is indeed gonna go the double Robo Bayway, but I feel that Skillous is gonna try to end it before Gerald gets a whole bunch of Disruptors up.
Oh, and Dark Shrine too. So really diversifying things up here as Gerald to try and keep his opponent very much on his toes. The most ridiculous things as we have these, I'll talk about it in a moment, as these Stalkers are gonna move forwards. They're probably gonna end up running away though. The Dark Templars versus Dark Templar observers following everything around. That's the craziest thing I've seen since I've come back. It's brilliant to watch. It's so silly.
Yep. Yeah, late game can get really wild if they get 4 or 5 bases, because then everybody's on 12 gates. They get Dark Templars with Blink. Skillous is actually making it seem like he wants to go up to 4 bases. I'd be very surprised though, James, if Skillous decides to just stay at home while Gerald is already rushing into that disrupt attack. Like, I think 2-3 disruptors, you can attack into that. 5 or 6, you're not attacking into that anymore, because it's just going to be non-stop Purification Novas. So I like this move out by Skillous, and I'm wondering if he can get the fight that he's looking for.
Yeah, you're right. We were talking about it yesterday as well. The window that exists with just a few disruptors is there. It definitely does exist. As you see now, Skillous positioning aggressively, trying to find himself a little bit of an opening. It is technically the perfect time for about 20 seconds or so.
Yep. First Nova will connect with 2 Zealots. That's honestly not that bad of a start, especially because Skillous is just running away. Another Zealot goes down. So we're already down 3 units, but then this is the moment. A couple of Dark Templars have been warped in as well, but there are 2 Observers in the mix here for Skillous, and he takes out the Observer of Gerald, gets on top of the army. Fighting in range of an overcharged battery is a little bit risky though.
Yeah, definitely so. The Archons at the back aren't really being able to do much damage just yet. Blinks down towards the south so he can open up room for these Archons to get on top of these units. Dark Templars coming in. Purification over from the back, though. Will be able to catch some of these Stalkers as well. He was buying time to try and get these two Disruptors out, but, losing the Obs.
Yep, he had 2 observers with this push, and he lost both of them while being in range of that cannon.
Ooh.
Obviously, Gerald was looking for those kills. Very well done, because I actually thought that Gerald was in all sorts of trouble there. Skillous losing both his observers is painful, and he didn't even get a cancel on that Nexus on the left side.
Yeah, tough stuff. We did say that the window was small, and for a brief moment there, he actually was able to exploit it quite nicely. However, a little bit of a wrench in the works on the left-hand side came in and really disrupted that, as we have enough Purification over being dodged, but he'll keep holding him at arm's length now as these numbers gather.
Yep. And the static defenses are increasing as well for Gerald, and it's so hard to fight into Archons near a battery. If they ever use battery overcharge, you know you're never taking out that Archon. So Skillous is going to go for it. He's going to jump on the static defenses, and he has a couple of units trying to keep the army at bay on the bottom side. I don't know if Skillous can really stick around for that long, but he doesn't want to give up.
They're going to try Purification Overs on towards the Archons on the right-hand side, whittling those down. The aggressive blinks for Skillous have to be impactful when he's going to do them, as he did lose some units here to some Purification Overs, but it's still quite even Stalker numbers, and another aggressive blink will cost him extra Stalkers, 2 more Disruptor shots.
Yep, the final shots, they were all money by Gerald, getting 3-4 Stalkers, getting a couple of Zealots, sniping another observer so he can warp in a few more defensive Dark Templars if he wants to. Skillous just had a little too much money in the bank, and in the end ate a few too many Novas to the face that were just a little too much. And all of a sudden he's in trouble. He's down 20 army supply, but even worse is that he's down in tech, right? We're looking at a double Robo with a Robo Bay against somebody who's on pure Zealot, Archon, and Stalkers. That's just not going to go well for Skillous.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have his +3 finishing up way before, because Gerald isn't even started it just yet. So technically there's a bit more oomph behind the units. But as you say, I mean, if Gerald was able to get himself a few Dark Templars, bopping around the map wherever and stuff like that, maybe that could be very, very strong itself. As another attack comes in towards this base.
I really don't like that blink. He's going to end up losing a couple of Stalkers. As we can see, 2 Stalkers go down, and there is one more that's stuck and didn't get the memo of the recall, so that one's going to go down as well. Warp Prism got shot down on the left side. Honestly, very impressive hold by Gerald, right, in the last 2.5-3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the window that was hit before was nice from Skillous. You just have to kind of persevere in that moment as Gerald to get out some more impactful units on the left, and he did. Shadow Stride on the way though now for Skillous as well, as he wants to get a bit cheeky, and I love it. It's a ridiculous thing to watch if this goes even longer.
Look at these economies. They're both so rich. 4 bases, 81 probes. You love to see it in a PvP. I do like what Skillous is doing right now. He's like, all right, the straight up big attacks with my main army, they're pointless at this point. I can warp in Archons, but it's going to get fired away at by those Purification Novas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use the mobility of my army. Your army is strong if it sits in one place. My army is mobile. I'm going to run around. He doesn't get much done. But what he does get done is he keeps Gerald at home, so at least he can catch up in the tech.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we go from the straight butt heads into another phase, into this slower pace. It's time to start this harassment engagements now, because nobody can really find the decent attack. I mean, technically, Gerald could be, I guess, what do you think? Could he be poking a little bit more in the middle of the map and trying to find Purification Overs himself as opposed to his opponent, which doesn't really have any? Or
It's a lot about vision. I think if he's in a good spot, the answer is yes. But I think that Gerald is very worried that he walks into a trap and Zealots collapse on his army from every angle. And then all of a sudden, the Disruptors are not that great anymore. And I mean, Skillous has been losing a lot of observers, but he's also been killing a couple in the center. A lot of Zealots are just running into the army here. The Nova's going forward as well. Yeah, Protoss players don't split like Terran players, so that didn't go very well with Skillous.
Not too well, though. Ooh, geez Louise, that was a lot of Zealots going down. I mean, yes, they're only minerals, but it's still a huge chunk of your army just disappearing, and something you'll have to replenish down the line if you want it. But, I mean, Zealots kind of slowly lose their favor as time is going on right now in relation to the army compositions that they're rounding out, I suppose.
I like, look how perfectly the left side looks for Gerald. That's such a beautiful little setup that he's got there on his 5th base. Those 3 pylons, the 3 batteries, and then the 3 cannons on top of it. That's Protoss art if I've ever seen some.
That's Warcraft 3 tower defense mods if I've ever seen one. It's just waiting for the little units to run past. Yeah, perfect line.
Yep. This has really been the war of the observers. You mentioned observers on top of Dark Templars and Dark Templars fighting each other before, but they have both done a really good job in sniping each other's up. Skillous has already lost 5 observers, but he also took out 3 observers of Gerald. That's really good to see.
Blink was occurring. This high ground vision was given. There still was 1 DT and all of that. And Dark Templars are going to be on the defense as well here. A lot of Dark Templars, in fact. And to what I said before, you need an observer if you're going to do these kind of harassments in PvP now.
Yep, I really like that he's getting observer speed. I feel like that's one of the most important upgrades in the game to have when your PvPs are starting to look like this. Gerald has like 12 disruptors all by themselves, and they're like, hey, you don't often see this, but the disruptor hit squad just scouted the Nexus.
Well done, guys. You can't do anything. Well, I mean, yeah, you could have done. Oh, no. All right. GG, go re. No, it's not over just yet, but that was a lot of stalkers dying off.
Well, the unit's lost resource step is really telling the tale of this game. It's 17k against 4k. Even though Gerald is losing a couple of Dark Templars. Right now, the Nova's on the right side. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with these nerds. They're just going crazy. What I do know is that Gerald is very rich. And I feel like Skillous is having a hard time keeping up with Gerald. Gerald is good in these kind of games, man.
He's even transitioning into carrier and mothership as well here. So putting on pressure, though, with all of these purification novas. If he's not, he actually clicked his own stalkers there. Not really being too careful about this. Just firing off the fireworks everywhere. Where are these disruptors going? Oh, my God.
Yeah, some big Nova. Skillous is getting some stuff done there on the left side, so that's good to see. And I believe there are no observers here, so maybe could warp in a couple of DTs. But the Zealots and DTs of Skillous have broken the 5th base with that beautiful little static defense of Gerald. Gerald tried to warp in a couple of additional units, and in the end, that's going to be barely enough. But now the Novas are actually connecting with the trail end of that. Skillous lost 23 probes during all of that. He's still ahead in supply by a little bit. And of course, he still has a lot of money in the bank, but he doesn't have that much gas anymore.
That turned from fireworks into just pure dynamite. I can't believe how many disruptors just died from like 2 purification novas. But I mean, carriers are on the way. The transition is coming here for Gerald. So I guess technically, you know, even despite losing all of the disruptors, it's still okay, question mark.
Yeah, I mean, these carriers do really need the protection of these disruptors, because carriers are awesome, but these carriers don't have any air upgrades yet. Right when I say that, he starts +1. Yeah. That's obviously going to take a little while before these carriers are really that badass that you can truly rely on them to win those fights. So it's really important that Gerald has disruptors, not because he's hoping for big shots, but the disruptors will keep the stalkers away from blinking close to these carriers.
Yep, and they can be focused down quite quickly if you're not too cautious about things. We will have these stalkers trading off and moving on away because there's too many disruptors there for Gerald to really deal. What is this? What? This is... Oh, God. I'm so glad I came back at this point in time to do some commentary because this is just nuts.
Yep, it is very nuts. And don't forget that the 2 other armies are still sharking very close to each other. And all we need really is 1 purification nova to land in the disruptors of the other guy for this game to just be turned upside down. I gotta say, Skillous has been a bit reckless, but his macro has been good. Oh, they're getting so close. No, he's too late. Oh my God, Skillous is gonna lose a couple of disruptors. That could have been worse, but he still ended up losing 2 of them.
Super important to try and get the first shot off and get them onto your opponents, because then you actually cancel the ones coming to you, right? So we actually saw that in action just then as well. As this army's moved through the middle, Skillous might feel they have to do something.
Yeah, the disruptors are so exposed. The stalkers are going to scout it. Skillous can fire. He didn't fire, so he's gonna... No! He's gonna lose all of his disruptors. But at the same time, he should be able to clean up the majority of the disruptors of Gerald. Oh, Skillous, that was a painful mistake.
Gerald only has 1 observer, and it's not here right now. So those Dark Templars are going to have an absolute field day with all of this on the left-hand side if he's not careful here. Where is that observer? It's just in stationary mode over up in the north right now.
I don't even know what's happening. Skillous just lost all of his disruptors, and he's like, you know what? I think this fight can still go all right. And then Gerald all of a sudden is like, damn, now all my disruptors are in a very weird spot. Brings over the carriers. He's like, wait a minute, I only have 1 disruptor here. I should probably be careful. And he's correct. What a game this is turning into. Only a second game of the day, and we're just getting some proper PvP madness. This is awesome.
Shields on the way as well, getting on here as quickly as possible. This army, I mean, it's spicy. I'm going to give it that. And if he had an observer with him and he just killed off his opponent's observers, it would get even worse for him, I suppose, if he could keep his mothership alive. But sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. I have heard, you know, these theories behind the minus 400. You know, sometimes that comes along. Maybe not in this matchup so much, but
yeah, in PvP, I don't know how I feel. I'm never a fan of the mothership, but it does make your army very powerful. It's like Archon Immortal. Here it's a bit weird. We had all these. No, the Dark Templars of Skillous. What are we doing? He blinks on top of the army. He's gonna blink on top of everything. James, the boy is crazy. What?
Oh my god, and those will actually go down there while that was going on. I think he got quite a few kills off the back of it. 10 more DT is going to be warping in here quickly for Gerald, but denying a base down towards the bottom. It's all Stalker. It's all Stalker.
Yes, but Stalkers are mobile, and obviously the army of Gerald is very slow, so Skillous is just going to try to be annoying. Now, Gerald warped in a whole bunch of DTs and Zealots, I think, in the top left side, so he's going to try to make some magic happen. We need to keep that cannon alive, because there is no observer there for Skillous. I don't even know what's happening. The main army is getting pretty close to each other as well, but the Dark Templars of Gerald are finding a lot of success in the top left.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about Dark Templars, which is like, even if you have detection, sometimes they'll just, unless it's an observer, if it's cannons, for example, they'll just rip that away very quickly. Skillous is going to continue, though, to dance around this map and try and just snipe off everything he can with big Stalker Ball.
Yep, but he didn't recall everything, so he's going to try to actually grab these Stalkers, but carriers are exposed. Skillous to take out the carrier, wants to get both of them. Little bit risky, doesn't give up, and he does get both of them. In the end, wants to get one more, but the Novas are going down as well. The Stalkers are making magic happen here. Who needs capital ships if you've got Stalkers?
Yeah, some of them are having to get away, though, here for the moment. He doesn't want to take this fight fully just yet. I mean, the funny thing is that you're right. I think he probably could win this fight head on, but there's still some disruptors underneath this that he has to be very cautious about.
And it's so hard as well, because obviously he's been losing so many observers. He's setting up another little run by right now, but this one is... Okay, this is just so funny. These armies are moving in like the absolute strangest ways at this point. Skillous should be able to get a cancel on the Nexus, and he's going to try to cancel the bottom right one more time. That's a straight up kill. That's the second Nexus in like less than a minute that he's killed, and he wants to make it 3. Can we get the hat trick on the Nexus kills? It seems like the answer is yes. I mean, Skillous seems like an absolute nuisance to play against when he's got this many Stalkers.
He was, Gerald was initially swinging in from the north to try and wrap around that, but he actually decided to back off and to maybe even join what was going on in the middle. But there wasn't really much going on in the middle. But Tempest now on the way, 3x3 for Skillous, and eventually they're good.
I think as soon as you have like 5 or 6 Tempests, you're going to be more than confident to just start wailing away at these carriers and mothership from far away. And then eventually when your opponent wants to disengage, you just jump on top of it. You always got to respect the disruptors, and it's hard to see for Skillous how many disruptors there really are for Gerald. But I'm starting to really like this game by Skillous, and he's just playing a beautiful late game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Roddy, there were definitely big moments in this game where he was behind quite significantly. But the recovery has been there, especially with the mobility of these Stalkers. It's been great.
Yep, I feel that Skillous and Hellraiser are 2 Protosses in the European scene that are really good in being super annoying with an insane amount of Blink Stalkers. Like, I actually had a game once against Hellraiser, which I was just convinced of that I can't possibly lose. I was like, he's being annoying with Stalkers, but, you know, eventually he's going to have to fight me. Turns out they don't. They never have to fight you if they don't really want to. Skillous does have to be a little bit careful. There's obviously no value for Skillous in taking a massive fight here. With Tempest, you always want to pretend like you want to fight, get some shots off, but then just run away. You don't actually want to stand there and fight, because then you will lose.
Well, they both have a tool to keep their opponent at arm's length now, I suppose, right? The Tempest from the air for Skillous, and Geralt has some disruptors still sinking around alive at the moment. There goes the ball, but actually doesn't connect with anything at all. Time Warp goes down before the mothership actually goes down as well. There are that will go off and actually bring down a lot of them. That brings down some of the firepower here. So it's going to be just the carriers trying to run away from Tempest for now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good enough, even though these Stalkers are a bit annoying. Tempest definitely don't want to be shooting at the Stalkers. I mean, that was a painful connection, but I still think I like this fight a lot for Skillous, because the Tempest should be able to take care of the carriers, and then Skillous should be able to win the fight on the ground. He's got a couple of Dark Templars. Everything is just being blown up by Purification Novas. What a fight.
I'm wincing every time one's going off. I'm like reeling back in my chair just because there's been moments where Gerald has killed a lot of his own units with these purification novas, with these disruptors, and he's going to have to move away from this army once again. Maybe get a few kills here and there. And actually, does he have an? Oh, okay, he does have some.
You're right, he once again killed a couple of his own stalkers. I mean, this army is just being blinked forward once again the Tempest, but more Zealots show up as well. In the end, Gerald did manage to take out a couple of these Tempests, and it wasn't all that bad. But obviously, he's the one who's been losing all these Nexi. Meanwhile, Skillous has been mining up these bases in the top left, in the center right, and in center top left as well. I mean, that made no sense, but that base sort of high left up. You know which one I mean, James. So Skillous is way richer. He can keep trading like this, and I don't think that Gerald can. He's just really starting to run out of steam. But this has been an insane PvP.
Roddy, just say hitting from the north, hitting from the south, and you'll be totally fine. It will get exactly the concept that you're on about. It's going to be okay. We're going to... Maybe this Tempest lives? No, it will not. Dark Templar is going to hold on some time here for a moment, but Geralt now is so far down in supply.
18 observers have gone down in this game. Like, that's crazy. And Gerald has lost 22 disruptors, and Skillous lost 11 of them. Skillous lost 138 zealots. Gerald lost 35 zealots, as he's mostly been relying on, obviously, the Stalkers and the Dark Templars as well. I mean, I think this one is getting close to the end. I feel that Skillous is just a little too far ahead right now, but maybe Gerald can make another miracle happen. But whatever happens, it's been an absolutely awesome PvP.
Yeah, definitely. Blink forwards, trying to get onto those last few units here, but they're going to fall. I felt like the miracles could have happened for Geralt when he had his disruptors out in the field, but that's going to be it. GG. Well played, Skillous.